Hey guys, welcome to the Shack, episode 36. Glad that you're here. This is the first episode. We are going with a YouTube video.
Wow.
Kind of excited about that.
That's not entirely true.
Okay, if you're seeing this, we're going for a YouTube video.
If you're seeing this, that means that
We did some quarantine ones where we were all on Skype.
Yeah,
fair enough.
yeah.
You are correct. You are correct.
Yeah, but this one's on
This
purpose.
is a full Shack. This is a full Shack on purpose for the YouTubes. We want to see if you guys like it. See if you'd like to tune in, see us what we're doing. We literally just shut the shop off 15 minutes ago. We were grinding knives, making handles, doing lots of stuff. And this is how
chopped liver here. I'm still heat treating.
Nick's still working. The rest of us are having fun now drinking our water. Jeez. So anyway.
It's only because the ovens take
So this is
forever.
how we actually film the Shack, is exactly what you guys are seeing today. We have the old kitchen table from the old days.
I've had many bowls of cereal.
I know. Still got the some of the kitchen chairs.
Most of the legs. And
Most of the legs
Some
are
of
still
the
on.
some of
them
them
rock
on
a
top
little.
even.
Yeah, they're
Not
kind
much.
of rough. But this is where we do the Shack week after week. But this is also where we have our morning meetings, and we have knives and stuff out on this when they're getting cleaned and sharpened. So there's a lot going on up at this end of the shop.
Mess.
Scott's area. So,
What he meant to say was laying out custom trickery knives.
yeah, that stuff.
oh,
No.
So,
no,
we are
it's
hoping that
not.
we can bring you the YouTube version and get that rocking and rolling too, because we have fun doing this thing. But we actually shut the shop down, come over here. Mikey has everything set up. We sit down in place and go, okay, what's today's topic? Ready, set, go. So it's kind of just about that way. So we're excited to get going. Mikey, where can they see our podcast or hear our podcast?
You can hear it anywhere you find podcasts, and you can see it on the YouTubes.
There you go. Are we number one anywhere this week or month?
No. You got to do more than like one every month and a half.
Oh, that's true.
Or 3
We were a little bit late. We're going to get caught up here, right? That's our plan. So we're going to get caught up on those. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a great day. Today,
Yes.
we're going to do something special. It's going to be Q&A from our Pout House members. That's going to be fun.
Scott,
So
tell
all
us
you
what the
Pout
Pout
House
House
guys,
is.
huh?
Have Scott tell us what the Pout House is.
Okay. Well, all you Pout House guys better be tuning in for this one. Scott, tell them what the Pout House is.
The Pout House is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to join our forum.
Once in a lifetime. You can join any
We're
day
never
of
going to
the
have
week.
another one. This is it. This is our VIP buyers club, sort of, kind of. $25 a year to join. We have lots of perks to go with the forum. There's lots of different threads. There is a monthly drawing. There's a yearly drawing. There's a yearly camp out trip. Lots of good stuff on there. And this particular time of year, we're doing our Halloween knives.
Great bunch of guys. We have a lot of members in there that help each other out. We have raised money for good causes all around the world that I know of. We have members all around the world as well.
Sure.
So if you're not a member of the Pout House, maybe want to go over and check it out. And if you are a member of the Pout House, guys, thank you so very much for being a member. It
Appreciate
means a
that.
lot to us all.
Mhm.
Yeah, we have a good time interacting with
It's
you,
fun.
but it's very important for the company as a business, and we thank you very much for that. So today we're going to do question and answers, but first, I'm LT.
Scooter here, your man on the inside.
I'm Tyler.
Brian from Woods Monkey.
It's Mikey.
Nick. And Sam's back. The stars have finally aligned, and I'm reappearing on the Shack.
Yeah, there you go. That's right, you missed the last one, huh?
Yes, I think, or the one before that.
Well, he's such a
Maybe
he's
the
such
ones
a
before
tool
that.
we didn't have him here on the tool episode.
Wow.
Are you supposed to be here today?
Nick's here.
No, I'm not supposed to be here today. That's why I said the stars aligned, and here I am.
Yeah, just all
Or
like that.
fell from the sky,
We won't get into
Came
that.
off on the
or rolled down the highway.
We won't get into that.
Oh, I think we might have to.
No.
So Scott, where are we going to start with? What is our first question for the group today?
Okay, all of the questions were provided by Pout House members. So I'll go in order. This first batch of questions is from Zabraham Lincoln.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
First question, and these are for everyone.
Okay, so who are you going to pick? Who gets to start, and then we just go righty lefty,
Sure.
What exactly?
right or left?
Yeah, okay, there we
Let's
go.
go right.
I'm going to go clockwise. Tyler,
Ah,
what's your favorite non-LTWK knife?
Trick question. There are no other.
Jeopardy.
Wow.
Well-
Hey, he's thinking hard. Leave him be.
I don't remember what it was called. I think it was from Craftsman. It was like a little old pocket knife that I got from my grandfather. It was the first knife I ever had, and I carried it for 10, 12, 13 years or more until it finally fell apart. But I don't remember. It was just one of them little folding knives that had the picture of a train and everything on it.
Classic.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Say, sometimes from your childhood, those things stick. You don't. I know what you're saying because I'm like, oh man, I forgot about that. And
I
then
know
I'm
my
looking back.
first off. I mean, not LTWK, but
Yeah. I know.
okay. You want to
deal.
do the same question for everybody?
Yeah. Everybody hits it once.
Brian.
I think my first real knife was
Not necessarily first, just favorite.
well, yeah, but I mean, I think that was the one that kind of got me into knives more than just the standard Swiss Army knife or something like that. Was Spyderco Walker, my wife. I don't think we were married
Wow,
then,
that's a
bought me.
blast from the past
Yeah,
right there.
the old Zytel handle.
Yeah.
Partially serrated from the old knife shop in the Monroeville Mall. I think is where it came
Oh, I knew that shop.
from. It was a great
I was a
store.
little kid then, though.
Great store, but I think that was the one that kind of got me into knives. That was the first oh, this is a cool knife, But yeah, that was mid '90s sometime. So
Right on.
that was kind of the one that I won't get rid of. It's got a reserved place on my bureau, and
Nice.
Gotcha.
Michael?
Probably for me, it's a tie between my first proper knife, which I was a huge MacGyver fan as a child, and the first time I went to Europe, I got a chance to get a Swiss Champ from the Swiss Army store in Switzerland.
Nice.
No, that's kind of cool.
Now you
and
can
then-
build your own.
Right?
Yes, and then my everyday carry work knife is an Emerson, and I have just beat the ever living.
He's
out of that
ready
knife.
to retire the knife.
And I love that knife because it just does everything well.
Dig it.
Right on.
Nick?
So for me, I do tend to change it out every so often.
3 days, whether it is or not.
No,
Right now. You gotta
no.
go.
Right now, though, and for let's see, since the beginning of the summer, it's been the Demco AD20S. I went from 0 to 4 of those over the summer, and they are exceptional folding knives, I have to say. So if it's not one of ours, then it's that one for sure is my favorite.
Dig it. Sammy?
You're going to have to help me with the model number, but I know it was a buck, and it had the saw on the back of it in the green camo sheath
With the rubberized handle.
with the rubberized handle.
I can't think of that. I don't know that number, but I know which knife you're talking about.
I've got 3 of them now. I've got my
And it had a
grandfather.
bead blasted blade.
It did.
Yeah. So it was a bead blasted blade. It had the saw teeth on the back.
Yep.
My father bought me, him, and your dad.
And I have all 3 of those.
And you have them all 3 now.
that does not surprise me.
No, that's cool though. But he bought, and that was probably, if I'm going to guess, mid 80s ish, probably. So before you were born.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's it. That's a cool knife though.
Mhm.
I like that one.
LT, what is your favorite non-LTWK?
I would have to say my Buck 124 because I wanted one of those
It's
so
a
bad.
classic.
It's
It
a
is a
Bowie
classic.
size knife. If anyone's not sure what that was.
How big? We're on video now.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah. No, it's a
It's
big
a
knife.
substantial knife.
Yeah,
Yeah.
124 is a pretty good size.
Okay.
And I really wanted that knife, and it was a birthday present. 13, 14 years old, I'm guessing. Or not, I'm sorry, not birthday. It was a Christmas gift from my dad and mom. And I was just, when I opened that long, narrow box and I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh. Because my dad had one, and every time we would go anywhere in the woods, Dad, can I carry your knife? Dad, can I carry your knife? You know, because it was, and I couldn't even hang from my belt. I had to stick it in this way.
Mm.
So, I love that thing. And I got my own. I was like, ooh. I still have that knife to this day. It's still at my house, still razor sharp. Love that thing. Carried it for at least until I made my own knife. If I went in the woods for any reason, even if I went hunting and had a smaller game knife on me, the 124 was still stuck in my belt.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Yep. Now to you.
Similar to Nick, there's been so many favorites through my collection throughout the years. I'm just going to go with the latest and greatest of my favorites, which will be a Microtech out the front automatic in Sand Trooper white and distressed sand color. Very cool.
Would that be Star Wars-ish?
You better believe it.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. All right. Question number 2. Favorite defensive firearm? Tyler?
Not offensive.
Well, no, wait a minute. You should skip him and start with Brian now.
Oh,
So everyone has a first.
You know you're going to confuse me when we get to about
No,
that.
no.
It'd be all right.
Too
It'd be
late.
all right. We
Already
can do
done.
it. We'll figure it
Okay,
out.
Brian, go ahead.
That's a good question.
Defensive now.
Defensive Brian.
Yeah, I mean, we talked. I think when we were talking about the bug out bags, I talked a little bit about. I've got an older Taurus, a 606, which is the K-frame size, Smith & Wesson K-frame size. It's a 6-shot 357 with the 2-inch barrel. I like that because it's kind of a do-all knife for defense. It's a little heavy.
Gun.
I'm sorry,
Brought a
gun.
knife to a
Bang,
gunfight.
bang time, Brian.
It's all right.
It's a little heavy, a little bulky, but I like it. You can always find ammo for it. It's a little loud. It's a little fireball-y out the front when you shoot it, but it's a nice solid gun. It's back when Taurus was still making decent guns. Yeah, it's just a, as I said, it's kind of a do-all for me. So
Good deal.
Michael?
Well, my probably favorite gun to carry is the Glock 43, just because it is a great size and shoots well enough for short distance stuff. For my house, my Glock 17 is an absolute nail driver, so I love that gun.
Yeah. If you remember, his gun does shoot really, really well. Even with not him shooting it.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
You talking about his 17?
Yeah, his
That's
17.
actually my gun.
No, you sold it. It's not yours anymore,
Mhm.
and you're never getting
Right?
it back.
The 17 you had hot rodded.
But that was
shoot.
my gun.
Well, that thing shoots good. You should have kept it.
That's
That
okay. I moved
wasn't
on.
mine before, was
No.
it? Okay.
No,
Yeah,
about
it
that
shoots
one.
really good.
Well, we've done that. All right, Nick, what's yours?
So for favorite, I'm going to go with the Mossberg Shockwave, the 590 and 20 gauge. That is my favorite defensive firearm. It's about this big.
and that's a firearm.
Yes, that is correct. It is listed as a firearm. But yeah, it's a great little shotgun.
No, firearm.
Yep, that shoots shotgun shells.
Exactly.
Sammy.
Mine's real simple. I love a 1911.
Classic.
Even
That's
if it's
it?
modified.
Sure, as long as it's 1911.
Does it still count as 1911 if it shoots 9?
No.
Yeah,
Actually, his is
Yeah.
45. And
yeah,
yes,
it does anyway. But yes.
there you have it.
LT?
Glock 26.
The one you
No,
had
I'm
for-
sorry, Glock 23. I know I said 26. My 40 cal.
Is there a 26?
I have a
There is.
great set
It's
of
a
sights.
small
Mm.
subcompact.
I love them. And for the life of me, the name just is gone out of my head. And he's going to be so mad at me. Can't
What's the
think of
name?
it.
Tragicon.
No, the sights on my Glock.
Oh, gosh, I don't remember.
I
They're
know.
those
I
great
got
big
it
huge
right there. It
things.
makes a pyramid.
Yeah,
Green
they're
orange.
humongous, man.
Are they
Advantage.
battle?
That's it.
Advantage, yeah.
Advantage sights. I absolutely love those sights. I wish they made them for all my Rugers and everything else, but they don't. So, but yeah, my Glock 40, my Glock 23. There's so many Glock numbers.
Sure. Gets confusing. Mine is also a Glock. It is a Glock 19. I've carried one of those a little bit on security guard duty, that kind of stuff. And then I sold it, and then I acquired another one. It's small, high-cap mags, night sights on the one I have. I have many holsters for it. I can shoot it with my eyes closed. It falls to
But don't do
quite
that.
naturally. I have. That's a great gun. It has never jammed. I've never had a problem. I don't think any of my Glocks. Glock 19. Tyler.
My favorite for home defense, I have to agree with Nick. There's nothing better than a good shotgun behind the door.
True.
You know, I mean,
Home defense.
for home defense. Now for
Not
self
shooting through the door.
for self defense, I would
Guess we're
probably
getting
have to
shot at
go with
through the
my Heritage Rough Rider 22. It's the 22, no kick, and can't solve your problems in 6 shots. Then you've got bigger problems than you want to admit.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Okay.
deal.
Excuse me.
We
Next.
need to get
So
Tyler
we're-
on the quota coffee with wisdom like
I
that.
know, no. These are all Abrahams.
He had
Right?
a few questions.
Okay.
The next one on the list is to Mike. Favorite hunting firearm?
Oh, jeez.
Since he doesn't hunt, this is easy.
Yes, I'm not a hunter.
Pass.
Skip.
I would have to say, at this point in time, I'm super intrigued with traditional bows. So I would probably, if we're to go hunting, I would want to try it that way.
Good answer.
Nick.
I think I'd have to go. Let's see. It doesn't apply to Ohio here. I love a 22 for just, squirrel and stuff like that. I have a Remington Target Master. It was my very first gun ever. I guess I'd have to say that's my favorite. That's sort of a cop out on the question, but that's my favorite. I'll go with that.
Okay. Sammy.
My favorite to hunt with would be the 270 that my dad gave me when I first started deer hunting. Now, I am quite fond of the 300 Winchester mag, but the 270 is the go-to.
Those tough West Virginia deer really need that 300.
At 25 yards.
Yeah.
It's a great gun.
I shot him at
Clean
25 and he didn't run. And I went out and got him at 100. All right. Mine is the Thompson Center Encore. I have it in 30-06. Presently, that's what the barrel is that I have on that. I love Thompson Center single shot rifles. I have a Contender and Encore, both, but I like the Encore in a rifle, and my Contender's all pistol stuff. But definitely 30-06, single shot, Thompson Center Encore.
Excellent. I myself have only gone hunting once, and it was not the most fun experience. However,
He was the target.
I did have my Mossberg 500. So,
Nice.
Yep.
because I was deer hunting in Pennsylvania, and that's what we have to use. Or
Nothing wrong with
I
a
think that's still the rules.
good old Mossberg.
Brian's like, no, that's
Never saw
that's not
a
right.
deer, never heard a deer, just froze. Leaned up against the tree and then walked back to the truck.
Froze as being cold, or you were scared and you just,
Nope, freezing
Deer.
my tush off.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that was it.
For those that don't live around here, West Virginia, Ohio, and PA winters are wet cold.
Yeah, you really
That's-
have to.
It's like that when you're sitting. Yeah.
Sitting
Agreed.
up in a tree and the wind is blowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, next question, Nick.
Oh,
We don't-
hey,
we
there you
didn't-
have it.
Wait,
Get
Oh, I'm
that.
sorry.
Yeah, you weren't the end of the line there.
Who's next?
He said he was going to
Tyler.
start. In all
I'm
fairness,
sorry, Tyler.
he said he would
See
do
ya?
that.
This is
It's all good. We're fine.
I mean, I don't really hunt much anymore. When I usually only used bows for hunting, for deer and everything else. I don't remember what brand bow it was, but it was a compound bow.
Pick a good one. Just take it.
No,
Barnett.
that'd
Howard
be lying.
Hill.
They can see if you're lying now.
All right, that'd be lying. But no, I don't remember what it was. I had it for a long time. Finally sold it a while ago.
Brian,
Mine's easy. I have a deer rifle. It was
sorry.
it was a gift. It's a Winchester 94. Was a family gun. It's a mid 50s gun and 30-30. I mean, it's Pennsylvania. I think.
See, that was my second choice. Was going to be a 30-30.
Yeah, I mean, it's the law though. You have to have a 94 and 30-30 in Pennsylvania, at least one. You don't have to hunt with it, but you
I
have to
think
have one.
every
So,
gun owner should have that gun. It is
And what a great gun to
fantastic.
have, though.
It's great. I mean, I'm hunting. It's fairly thick, so I'm not taking long shots. I do a little bit of walking around. It's nice and light. It's, and it was, a gift. So it's great. But
My dad refers to them as brush guns because exactly what you're saying, right? And that's West Virginia PA hunting is that. So 30,
Hills and
30s,
scrub.
right
lots
on.
of scrub.
Good one to go with.
Okay. Now,
Ned.
the next question.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready?
Lay it on me, dog.
Okay.
He says it all the time, people.
Favorite vehicle?
Mr. Car Guy.
How appropriate.
All right. Well, this is easy for me because as they're teasing me, I'm the not car guy here.
Have you met Brian?
No, I think I'm even less of a car person than Brian. I don't know, but I love a Jeep Wrangler. So there you go. That's my
Okay.
favorite.
Good choice.
Stock Jeep Wrangler.
Is this like today or
I know
last
that.
week?
Yeah, you know
or
how I
2
said
weeks
about the
ago?
knives?
I don't know that
That's Sam here.
Abraham knows.
Like,
how
what am I
much of
using
a
it for? There's a.
pack of
If
gear
you could
is.
only have
If you
one.
don't- there you go.
Oh.
You can only have one. What's your
It
favorite?
says favorite.
Oh.
And no repair either. No repair consideration. Just
I don't know. I may have to think on that a second.
It doesn't even say favorite vehicle.
See,
you
the-
own.
45.
This technically is an unfair question because trucks, cars, SUVs,
nah,
hot rods,
just picking.
muscle cars. I got one in each
Horses
category.
for ditto. Yeah.
Things I wish I could have. I mean, there's so many.
You got 3 minutes. Go.
You just ummed.
I did.
What'd you say
I ummed
about
pretty
umming?
good.
Well,
There's no umming in podcasting.
It happened.
Did you nod off? Oh, what happened?
Leave him alone for wait, 10 seconds of silence. Ready?
You know, right now
That's great for a podcast. Just silence.
silence. I love my Tundra. It's comfortable to travel in. Sorry, until I have more details on the question, I can't properly pick.
Is that your
You're
favorite?
going with Tundra?
Yeah, I like my truck. Sorry, I
That
like my
much?
truck. I do.
That's sad.
But if we're going
No, tell him
like
how you really feel.
if we're going like old stuff, I'd love to have a Waggy. That would be cool.
Right on.
like
All right.
an
That
old.
was too hard for Sam. LT,
Dude, do you think it was hard for him? It's killing me.
ready to go.
Today, my favorite car of all time. 69 Roadrunner 446 pack.
And what
Green.
color was it when you had it?
It was green, bench seat, 4-speed, radio delete car.
What color were the brake calipers?
They would have not been painted back then. Now, when I got them, the brake drums would have been painted Hemi
That's
orange.
what it was. That's,
Yeah,
There.
I would have painted them Hemi orange, and I would have taken the left-hand threads out of the drums and replaced them with so everything on the car works
So
the same.
you're
For those
really come off
non-Chrysler
on the
people,
highway.
back in those days, Chrysler threaded the driver's side opposite
thread.
left thread on their studs. So
Everything tightened toward the front.
every time you'd buy an old Chrysler, first thing you did was go change the studs to where everything
Wow.
tightened the same way. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I know it is crazy. beep beep horn and all, man. 446 pack lift off fiberglass hood.
So that.
It hurts not to have that car right now.
So isn't it a 69 and a half?
And a half. Yes, sir.
technically? Okay.
69 and a half.
Mhm. They only made not many, right?
Not
how
many
much
at
would
all.
that car be worth right now?
Maybe if it was restored, 70 grand. Easy.
I bet more.
Maybe more. Yeah, I was being generous.
Were numbers matching? More.
Was it a numbers matching car? I'm not sure. I had the transit. May not had the block. I did have the 6-pack setup that came off of it though. I may not had the correct block. I don't remember. It's been a long time ago. This was in the early 80s. Anyway, moving on. That hurt. But I have a category. I have one in every category.
We know
so.
you do. I'm sure you are fond of the one you drove to work today.
Yes, my JK is one of my grail trucks. But
Mhm.
go ahead to you now.
Okay, favorite vehicle. I'm kind of keen on
Winston?
the Land Rovers.
No,
And-
just one.
I'm getting there.
Winston.
And the current Land
Winston?
Rover is the best one I've had.
Winston.
So, his name is Winston. Yes. It's a 1986 ex Royal Air Force 90.
Is it X or form?
X as an EX.
Yeah, that's what they say. XMOD, XRAF.
Just checking.
This truck served in the Falkland Islands, served in Scotland, served in the UK, of course, and then it went to West Virginia, and now it lives in Elizabeth, PA.
And it is right-hand drive.
It for sure. You mean correct hand drive?
It didn't come with scotch, so I'm not interested.
Didn't come with one?
It has had an engine swap to a little bit more horsepower. I keep throwing money and parts at it. It keeps getting better.
Right on.
It's fantastic. Tyler.
Well, my favorite car I've never owned, I've only ever seen it, is a 1967 Chevy Impala.
Okay.
Like
Why?
Love Impala.
Tyler's a
Why?
closet rapper.
Why? Because I love Chevys and the big blocks. I mean, they ate through gas, but they would go anywhere at any time. I mean,
Is that 402 stuff?
I think that.
Or a 9 is
Or 409?
67, probably not.
No, I think that one had the
327s.
yeah, I think it was the 320s.
I'm not
Yeah,
100% sure.
there.
I'm not a big Chevy guy, but
Not
I
sure.
like the Impalas,
Mhm.
period. Yeah.
Dig it. Brian, which Skylark did you like the best?
The 1960. What was in My Cousin Vinny? The mint green
64 Skyline.
64 Pontiac Tempest.
You mean the single track rear, not the...
Yeah. No, see,
No
when the
posi
left
track.
tire went up.
You have to see it.
Independent rear with posi track.
It is a good movie.
Yeah, so
So probably like my favorite car of all time would be an old 442, a convertible. I mean, just
oh, you're an old guy.
yeah. I used to
Like
have
the
a,
big bodied 442s?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like 68, 70, somewhere in there, but a convertible. I used to have a Cutlass Supreme. I had a 77 Supreme with, unfortunately, the 6-cylinder, not the 8. But yeah, it was big and slow. But you know, so the 442 was the Cutlass Supreme, the old Cutlass Supreme. Just a great car. Probably not very practical, but great car.
It's a muscle car. They're cool.
Yeah, I mean,
No, the 6.
no,
Well,
well, I mean, but the 442 came.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, no, the 77 with the 6 was, I mean, it was still a 2-door, but it was a big, heavy car. And it did not go very quick.
And who would like to answer what 442 stood for?
Oh, me.
Do you know, Mike, for real?
I'm pretty sure.
Because I know Scott and I know.
I might get the 2 wrong, but I know the
Okay.
other one.
Let's see what you got and we'll correct
4-barrel carb, 4-speed.
And I don't know I don't remember what the 2 is.
you. What's
I think it's 4-speed, 4-barrel, dual exhaust.
see? I thought it was 400
No.
4-barrel dual exhaust.
Quick, somebody Google it.
No. Well, they're all probably right to somebody.
It's, I think we're pretty close.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
close. All right, who's
Okay, Mike, favorite vehicle?
Defender 130 with an engine swap.
I knew that. I could answer that with you.
for like an LS?
Either an LS, which I was a little hesitant on the LS swaps, but they've gotten pretty good right now, or I would take a 12 valve.
Ooh, come on.
That would be the ultimate, like, end of the world vehicle with a mechanical diesel.
What
in it.
year?
Doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know what Defender.
There's a.
They made them from 83 to now.
And you don't care what year? Okay, gotcha.
Lots of parts swappability.
Right on.
Okay.
Next one's for
Next
Sammy.
question, Sam. Share
I'm just helping.
about a memorable moment with a grandparent.
Memorable moment with a grandparent. There's a picture floating around somewhere that my grandmother has, my mom's mom, of me on my granddad's John Deere tractor in the front yard of their house. And he had to push down on the back seat to keep it running so I could drive it around the yard because I was not heavy enough to keep the tractor running. That is probably my favorite memory with a grandparent.
Dig it.
Remember that?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't there probably, but I think I've seen the picture for sure.
LT.
Yep. Probably being with my grandfather at our farm, simply just sitting on the front porch, drinking coffee. He was a big coffee drinker, and just sitting there and just talking with him on the front porch of our farm, because he used to keep it mowed down really, really nice and had everything way opened up. It was so awesome to go and visit them. They lived in Florida, and they would come up for the summertime and hang out at our farm and just use that as their home base when they were going to see people, and just to get up there and sit on the front porch and just hang out with him. And he liked to walk every day and then walk to Bonds Creek with him or something. No, walk up on top of the hill. He just liked to go walking every day. So those kind of things, those are my greatest memories.
Awesome. I only knew one grandparent. Everybody else passed away. But my grandmother, I was a little guy, of course. She would watch Lawrence Welk whenever that was on.
Sunday nights at 7.
There you go. So
I think NBC.
I was right there with her watching Lawrence Welk, and I don't know, 1977 or 8 or something. I was 7 or 8.
The bubble machine.
Something like that. Thank you, boys. And a 1 and a 2. Tyler, take it away.
Okay, for those of you that don't know, the Lawrence Welk Show is an American televised musical variety show hosted by big band leader Lawrence Welk.
Yes, and it aired in the, what, 50s,
Yes,
60s,
I had to look it
70s.
up. I didn't know.
1951.
And
In
television is what we had
1951.
before computers.
And there were 27 seasons.
Ooh, it was
Yeah.
popular. Okay, now
Watched it a lot.
My grandma used to travel a lot, so I'd always hang out with her, and we'd go down and visit cousins down in Martinsburg and downstate West Virginia. Just riding around in the car through the mountains, seeing the sights, talking to grandma. I mean, those are my best memories over her.
good deal. Brian?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you. I never knew really either of my grandfathers. One died when I was 6 months old, and the other one wasn't around. So one of my grandmothers, though, speaking of cars, made me think about this memory was, and I think it was a Buick. I think it was a Skylark. It was one of the ones that had 2 doors, and the front seats, instead of folding to get in the back seats, they turned.
Swivel buckets.
Yeah.
Ah.
Was that a Skylark?
There's a few different
Yeah,
vehicles
but
that have that, but
I remember when they were moving.
so.
She lived with my aunt, and they were moving from. They were in a little development. They were moving from one unit to a different one, and I got to drive. And I think I was 14 or 15, and that was a huge deal because I got to drive like the quarter mile, like with their stuff down to the thing. And so, just as we were talking about cars, that made me think about that.
and you did a smoky burnout and you weren't allowed to drive that car ever? Michael.
Probably the best memory with my grandfather was that he had recently broke his foot, and my sister was getting married in Charleston, South Carolina. So one of the guests to the wedding was my dad's boss, and he was taking the company jet to the wedding. So he was like, "Why don't you and your grandfather come on the jet with us?" And my grandfather was like just fascinated. Like to the point where he was like, "Oh, this is so nice," like, "Oh, we can just do this and get up." And like, the planes take off really steep because they're private jets. They have to fly way higher. And so he was like, "Oh, goodness." And then they get up there, they're flying. We made it in like 2.5 hours or something. It was super quick. And he was like, "This is so great." And he was so excited that on the way back, we had to stop and buy sandwiches for everyone on the plane so that he could thank the guys who flew the plane.
Nice.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Is that plane available for Georgia Bushcraft coming up?
No, you have to ride in the van like the rest of us.
Nicholas.
So my grandfather loved to make things with his hands. He was a steel mill worker by trade for most of his life. I mean, he was long retired by the time I was around. But one of the projects that he made was this chess set, and it was the box folded in half, beautiful pieces. And one of the earliest memories I have, and one of my favorites of him in particular, was him helping teach me how to play chess with that.
Okay.
Very cool.
Yep. Sam, I did your same. You were first.
Yep.
Okay, next question.
To LT.
Yeah. Excuse me. Share how the special woman in your life has supported or encouraged you in a difficult or challenging time?
Boy, these are getting little. These are getting little.
I can only do one.
Yeah.
Well, let's just use the one when I started the knife company because that's a pretty important one. First of all, she's
We wouldn't all be sitting at this table.
well. That's at her table. Her table. Thank you, dear. Yeah. No, she supported me through everything. There's no doubt about it. I've had some crazy, wild ideas in my life, including the knife company thing. Had a good job, had a daughter in school, a wife, I had a house payment, a car payment, bills like everybody else. And I got the wild, harebrained idea that I could quit my job and start a knife company. So, when you're making good money, everything's going good, we have a good life, everything's going along. And I just had this itch, this bug. And when I started making knives as a hobby, it kind of kept snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. And at one point I said, hey, I think we might be able to do this for a living. I said, I think I want to quit my job. I think we can do this. And she just looked at me and said, okay. And that was it. 100% support. She wasn't like, are you crazy? Aaron's getting ready to go to college and we got this in the house and got bills and everything else. No, she was just like, okay, I think you can do it. I believe in you. Let's do it.
Goodness, she did.
And she did. And we're how many years later? Very blessed to be here. We've got 10 guys I get to work with every day that I love and care about. It's an awesome situation.
And make podcasts with.
And make podcasts with. So that has to be one of the biggest. I mean, there's plenty. All of my crazy ideas, she was pretty much always there. Yeah, go ahead, do it.
Awesome.
She never said, no, you can't do that. You're a grown man. Or at least if she did say that, I would hear it.
So can we get her opinion on that? Or
No, she has been super supportive, even to this day. Even when I come home and say, hey, I got this. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So yeah, that's mine.
Good deal. Mine is Michelle. She supports me in everything that I want to do or try to do. She tries to make it happen best she can. And just the most recent thing was my mom passed away in July. So Michelle was, of course, right there with me, grieving and sharing memories because we took care of mom for the last 2.5 years of her life in our house. I needed her, and she was right there for me. So there's no getting away from that. She's my favorite.
Michelle, did you hear that?
Favorite.
Unless she's in Portugal or Belgium, she's probably not hearing this.
Yeah.
Tyler.
Well, when I first came home from the Army, I had no money, no job, nothing. And Mary came in and she supported me until I got on my feet. And then, we've been kind of together ever since.
Awesome. How long?
Well, let's see. We've been married 5 years. Probably about 13 years.
You forgot to
true?
say thanks to Scott.
Well, yeah.
True, I did marry
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. He did.
So Mary.
Yes,
Yeah.
I married you to Mary.
Yeah, that did happen. And I think it's like 10, 12 years
Is that how long
now.
it's been, Scott?
not since
I
they
got,
were
I got
married.
my records in my phone.
I said we've been married
No,
5 years now.
I think so.
Together.
Let me
All
see.
together.
First it was 13 and
Yeah,
now it's
yeah.
backed off a couple.
Well, it's been a long time. We started dating in high school, then we broke off, went to the Army, came back, started back up. So it's been a while.
There you have it.
Brian. Tell us about the lady in the
That sounded a little creepy.
Right?
So I think I told the story. Well, I know I told part of the story of coming to Woods Monkey when we did the SE podcast a couple of years ago. So I won't go over that one again. But I think, let's see, I was coming out of college and I got an offer to go to Philadelphia. I lived in, was going to school in Springfield, Ohio, lived in Columbus. My wife was in the Pittsburgh area, my girlfriend at the time. And I got an offer to go out to Philadelphia to go to grad school. which was a big deal. I'd never been to, big city. I mean, Columbus, especially in the mid 80s, was not a big city. So that was a big deal. And she came along with me, kind of sight unseen. And, it was like, if we're going to continue to go out and, got to try and make this work and we have to be in the same place. So that was kind of a big leap of faith. And that was 1991. So that was kind of the first big supporting of my craziness and what I was doing. And again, we both moved to a completely foreign city where we knew nobody and didn't know anything about it. And, didn't know how we were going to get along. I mean, I was getting a little bit of money from teaching, but, she got a job and we figured it out.
Excellent. Michael?
For me, it would probably be when I first asked my wife to marry me. It was like February, and then in March, there was an opportunity to get a job at Trek Corporate, and I applied for it. And I'm like, oh, I'll never get this. Like, they're not going to want me for this job, whatever. And I get a call, and they're like, yeah, we're going to fly you out for an interview on Friday. I'm like, okay. So I flew out to Wisconsin, had the interview, fly back the same day, and I'm getting off the plane and my phone rings, and they're like, yeah, we want to go ahead and offer you this job. We're going to need you here in 2 weeks. And I'm like, hold that thought. And so I call my wife and I'm like, I just got this job, this amazing job at Trek. And I know you can't come with me, but it's an opportunity I can't pass up. And she was like, you know what? Just go. We'll figure it out. And so I moved to Wisconsin, and we got married while I lived in Wisconsin, and she still lived here.
Ooh. So. Awesome. Very cool. Okay. Nick?
Boy, I've been thinking about this while you guys have been answering, and I can't settle on any one thing. So, my wife Genevieve, just the light of my life, man. I have to say that the standout thing for me is the way she's raising our kids. She's a stay-at-home mom, and she is beyond the best as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah.
Fantastic.
That's
I
about
could have
it.
answered that for you, and I don't even know that. But I do
Just
know
pay you.
that you guys have a great setup at the house.
Oh, yeah.
I could tell. I could answer that for you.
So,
That's awesome. Very good. Sammy?
Well, my special lady and I haven't been together super long, so there's not really any difficulty that I can think of that she helped
did
me
pick
through.
you, and that's been difficult for me.
But
okay, there's
we'll
Mike
go
for you.
with 3 months in, I said, hey, why don't you come to downstate West Virginia with me and camp with a bunch of my friends in the woods? And she didn't hesitate to jump in the truck and come with me. So.
Awesome. Get it.
I'm trying to kill that fly.
We are recording a podcast. Do not kill bugs on my table.
And a video.
Good answer, good answer.
Okay, so that takes care of that one, right? That's everybody?
Yep.
Yep. Good.
Okay. The last one there that he has
This is the whole.
Holy smoly.
in his.
This is the Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Yeah.
episode?
Jeez, I
I
was.
guess
Okay.
I'm first on this.
Yep.
Back to you.
Okay.
Back to you, Bob.
If you could witness one recorded event in the life of Jesus, what would you choose? Including the time after his resurrection and before ascension. I'll be honest and say I'm not the most religious guy in the world. So I'm not sure about that. I don't know. Maybe just to be in his presence would probably have been enough for me, but I don't have too much of an answer beyond that. So, Tyler?
I'd have to say any of his miracles. Honestly, if I was to see any of his miracles in person, that would probably be the best thing.
Very good. Very good. Brian?
So I cheated a little bit. I when you said, or LT said yesterday we were doing the questions, I looked at the questions on the Pout House, and
okay.
I mean, I was thinking about it, and like, like one of the miracles, but I was thinking about like the kicking the moneylenders out of the temple, because that's like the one that I know where you see Jesus being angry, basically, and so like if you think about like Son of God or whatever you believe. But he's also a man. Like that shows like the human side of him. I think, at least that's the way I see it. So I don't know. I mean, maybe it's kind of a weird choice, but it's just like it's kind of like a you see all these other things that are going on. His birth or resurrection or things like that. But I mean, that to me is kind of like an interesting story. It almost stands out as like, well, here he is being not so. Whatever, being
religious,
right, being a little cranky, and I mean, being human. So,
Okay. Michael.
oddly enough, Brian stole mine, so I will go on to another backup choice, which would probably be I wouldn't have minded being there when he rose from the dead to see that miracle happen.
Okay. Epic stuff. Nick.
Sermon on the Mount, for sure. Yeah. All your instructions for life, basically.
Good stuff. Sammy?
I'm also with Mike on the rising. That would have been something to experience.
That's kind of like the ultimate told you so.
Wow. Mike's here.
Right, for all the people who just didn't believe.
We got it, Mike. Thanks. Thanks for that.
On to LT.
The Last Supper.
Ooh.
Would have to sit there with those just to feel what was going on at that time and to get all of that information, and that would just have been incredible. The paintings, I'm sure, don't do that moment in time as good as it would.
Probably not.
So it's very interesting. But there's so many. It is hard to just pick one, no doubt. There's so many. You're like, boy, I would like to see that. I'd like to see that. I would like to see the reaction to people when they found out when he died on the cross and everything went dark that he was the Son of God. Because then you're like, oh, that crowd is, there's just so many. That's what I mean. There's so many things.
Everything.
Yep.
Yeah. Too much. Okay, we are on to K-Bar.
Hey, K-Bar.
K-Bar,
Shout out to
what
K-Bar.
up?
Woot.
Tyler, guarded knife and what goes into making them?
Yeah, Tyler.
Go ahead. Tell us.
A lot. Moving on.
Okay.
Well,
Well, I'm not really the expert in these situations. I'm just learning how to fit guarded knives in now. But there's a lot of precision work for making the notches and making sure that everything fits properly.
Sorry.
So, I mean, that's
Temper done.
When we get
That's all I
around to
got.
Nick, he'll really talk us through it. But the rest of us have some
He
bits
will?
and pieces.
Willie
We
now.
need to go around the table on this one.
Brian, what's your input?
They look good when they're done.
Nice and shiny. They keep your finger from getting cut, and that's what I know.
like a woods monkey fell on me.
I know someone who is really good at hiding the little brass pin in the brass guard, and but that's all I know.
Michael?
I would have to say that for me, it's unique to see how they all kind of come together. Like you see the guard go on and how that gets joined to become part of the knife when it's completely foreign to the steel that's on the knife, and then how the handles tuck into it and make it into this seamless piece when it's all done. I think is just a really neat aspect of it.
Nick?
Can you read the question again, please? Thanks.
Guarded knife and what goes into making them?
Okay. So, guarded knives, that is something that I do here pretty regularly, and Scott and LT do. So, I guess, I don't know. I'm going to keep it brief.
It can be long.
Let's
so.
just say that things need to be flat, square, and fit good and tight. Let's just say that. And as far as gluing your scales and attaching your scales, that's actually way easier on a guarded knife than it is on a standard knife. Typically, there's a lot less of some parts and more of others. And I know that's vague, but I'm sorry, without going into a whole bunch of detail, I really, I can't answer that too much better.
Okay, good. Sammy?
I do the easy part, and I grind it, and then I give it to Nick, and he does the rest.
Good answer.
Yeah.
LT?
Guarded knives versus non-guarded knives. Definitely a lot more work in a guarded knife. Number one, you have to fit the guard. If you don't have a preformed guard, then you have to make the guard. And that requires, depending on what kind of tools you have. When I used to make guards for hidden knives, was a series of drilling small holes, using the Dremel to connect those holes, and then hand filing that notch until it fit just right. So you spend a lot of time sitting there with a vise and some files getting it to drop into place.
You've got the time and the patience. It's pretty awesome.
It's a great thing, but it is a time-consuming task. So that is one side of it. And then once you get the guard on is to make the pins disappear, which is an art form in itself. You can't just beat them with a hammer and flatten them. There is a lot of stuff we set the center of the pin so it spreads, and then we tap it and peen it down, both using the flat side and then peen with the round ball side so that we smear the pin into the brass guard, and then you sand it flush. And 9 out of 10 times our pins disappear very, very good. We have some beautiful disappears of pins. Getting the notch just right. It is not a square notch, because it can't be a square notch, or when you grind through with a round, it's like the square peg round hole thing where your finger choil is. If you have a square notch in there and you grind too high, you have a potential of having a black line or a gap between where the guard meets the steel on the underside.
Which some people don't, some manufacturers I know even don't mind that. But here we try to make that transition as perfect and seamless as possible. So it goes from steel to brass with no line and no mark. It's just the one material to the other, and you'd never know that there's really any kind of space anywhere there.
It goes silver yellow just like that,
Yep.
and your eye doesn't go, hey, there's something there. It just
sometimes it almost snags you up. It's like, is this one? Is this integral? Is it one piece? No.
So
Two
it
pieces.
is a lot more time. And then after that, even though everything should be square, you have to hand fit the fronts of the scales to the back of the guard per se, because it's not truly going to be square like a 90 as you think. It's going to be very, very close. But again, the fit between that point, because now you're seeing it from the top, the side, and the bottom up against something else. So it's just like if you were putting this divider in a liner, same thing. There's 3 places for this to be gapped that someone can see it. Well, same thing is true here. So we dry fit everything first, and then we apply the paper to it and the glues to it, and then you can get it to pull up all together at one time, and that's where you get that look and that all together to make it flow. And then it's the grinding down of the blending in and getting it all contoured where it looks great.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that answered his question as completely as we can without visually doing something.
Yeah, that would be hard without us.
But if you're just like, hey, is this harder? Yes, it is definitely
Yeah, it's hard.
more time consuming and harder, because if you mess up and it's glued up, you're literally tearing everything apart.
It's a total pain.
It's a big do-over. It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the final results, pretty nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there any difference? Like, most of them are brass guard, but you guys have put together micarta guards and some different materials.
Yep.
Is there any difference in the process or how it goes together? And-
Yes.
Well, yeah. The short answer is yes. There's a lot of difference there, but again, that's a lot of little detail stuff. I don't know. I don't think we want this to turn into just a guarded knife episode, but yeah, there's a lot of difference there.
I have built a few myself. LT taught me how to do that years ago in the basement. And yes, I agree. There's a lot of small, detailed steps to get that correct. All of the fitting of the scales to the back of the guard. You have to file the back of the guard first and make that kind of square. There's lots to it. And if you don't know what LT or Nick were talking about, this pin that disappears, if you look at the side of the guarded knife that we make, there's 3 different ways that guard is held onto that knife. There's a notch, there's a brass pin through a brass guard through the piece of steel, and there's a little bit of JB Weld mixed in there for good measure. So once you drill that hole while everything is soft, harden the blank, come back together, you're going to JB Weld that and put that brass pin through that hole. You have to use color-matched brass things so that when you peen it and grind it, it literally disappears, and it's amazing. And then the more you sand it and polish it, you'd never know the pin was there, first of all, unless we did something wrong. You will not see the JB Weld either because it's you can't see it on the front, and you surely can't see it on the back. Scales are there.
Again, unless we've done something wrong.
And the notch, excuse me, you wouldn't know that the notch is there either unless you saw the blank before the guard went on. So it just looks like it magically appeared there, and the scales are on it, and they do come out beautiful.
One of the tricks we use for that to get a tight fit is the back of that notch where the guard slips up in, is we cut it at a slight angle. And what that does is as you drive the guard on, it drives the guard forward because it's like a ramp. And if there's any inconsistency in the front of that, that is where you're getting that closed up section. So that's one of the advantages that we have. And you can look at our guards compared to some other companies, and that's an attention to detail, I think, that we put into that particular knife that definitely shows.
Sure.
And Scott knows for sure, Nick probably does a little bit because he worked on them some as well, is the bolsters, the dovetail bolsters. That's another, using brass bolsters. That's another one of those things that are very, it's not impossible. It's just it's a harder thing to do. But man, when they're done right, goodness, they look fantastic.
Yeah. And there's a reason they're not $200.
Yeah, that's why they're so much more expensive. There's a lot more time.
Yeah.
A lot of hand fitting.
Right off the bat, you have to make the blank before you can even start the knife. You have to heat treat it, grind it, heat treat it, install the guard, and let it sit at least 24 hours.
Yeah.
Then you can build the knife.
Yeah, so there's
so
a lot
right
that
off the
goes
bat,
into
there's an
that.
extra day in.
Well, and then another issue, both not the same but similar with the guards and with the bolsters. Okay, so with our brass bolsters, whenever we did them, typically as production knives, there were 2 pins actually on those.
Correct.
So when you would peen those, and positioning and what we call clocking can be an issue with a guard, but not the same way as with a bolster. Because with a guard, it's one piece, it kind of can't shift side to side on you, but the bolsters absolutely can. So whenever you see, like Scott makes a lot of the scales with the racing stripes in them, it's the same kind of thing. Those scales have to be drilled and fitted so that the lines match on both sides. Similarly, when you peen down a brass bolster, not only do you have to make sure that it's fitting tight and properly, but you also have to make sure that you're not over peening one pin or making it or letting it drift in any way on either side. Because otherwise you'll end up with 2 lines that don't come together where they should. And you have to try to, either bend it or push it or reshift it or tear it off and start over. And building those bolsters that's its own art form too, really.
Yeah, when you're drilling your bolsters, you actually book match them. So after you get them all fit, and that was another trick and technique that we did on the bolsters. When you grind your bolsters, you grind your handle fronts exactly at the same time.
Yep.
That way that angle is absolutely the same. You just do one upside down. So you have your bolsters together, you'll book match them together to where the points are actually together, and you can clamp everything and get your points straight across, and then you drill them like that and then put them back on the knife and they come together.
We're getting into the technical weeds
it's
a little bit
hard
here,
to
but
see.
yeah.
There's lots to it.
There is.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Guarded knives are a great thing. I used to build tons and tons of
People
them.
love them too.
Yeah, and we still do build them. We've got some going out. I know you just
See
pull
the
them together.
Christmas knives
You
coming
just
this
look at one
December.
end of it, we have it here. So I think that's going to have to be our last question for part 1. So we're going to have to 2-part this program for sure.
No, not a 2-parter.
Yeah, no, we have to do a 2-parter. But that was
Well, at least
that was
we're not
some good
ending on a
questions.
cliffhanger.
That was great questions. We hope that you liked our first YouTube planned shack video. We hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with us today, and we hope to do these more again. And before we go, don't forget to check out woodsmonkey.com for some really cool stuff. and also go to LT Wright Knives and support the channel there. Mikey, they can support the podcast in a couple different ways, right?
Yes, our Amazon affiliate link on the Shack section of our website, or they can hit us up on our PayPal link.
Yep. You can just send some money through PayPal and it'll help us continue doing the shows. We go ahead and use the Amazon affiliate link. I use it personally.
I do too.
We buy from Amazon, so we use that link, and it just helps keep the batteries in all the microphones so that, like when we're sitting here, we can actually hear each other and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Guys, thanks for tuning in. This was episode 36. We are so excited about episode 36. So we will see you on episode 37.
Part
God bless
2.
you, and goodbye.
See ya.
Adios.
Go